Hey mages, welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to be looking at 3 budget meta decks that you can take to the standard BO1 arena ladder and hopefully get some really good wins and help you grind up that ladder. Now these 3 decks all perform really well. The win ratios are between 59 and 60% for all 3, and the first deck that I'll be showcasing will have just 11 rares, and this might be a mixture of rares and mythics, but 11 in total. The deck after that has 7 and the one after that has only 3. Now, considering these decks with such high percentages have such little rare wildcards, they were performing this when Meathook Massacre was obviously still in standard. Now, that is banned. I think it leaves today, although it was banned a couple of days ago. So these decks for me will only improve. So the first deck that we're going to look at is a Rakdos Anvil build. Olicolt Anvil, whenever one or more artifacts you control leave the battlefield during your turn, you create a 1/1 colorless creature token. It's a construct artifact. You can only trigger that ability once each turn, and you can sack an artifact. It deals 1 damage to each opponent, and you gain 1 life. So it has a really cool ability and is pretty low costing with 2 mana. The deck itself is an average of 1.8, which is really, really low. We have 13 creatures and 24 non-creature spells. So the idea of this deck is playing artifacts, sacking artifacts, getting value out of your artifacts, draining opponents, and then you can amass creatures as well. One of the creatures that I really do like in this deck is Sakenzan Smelter. At the beginning of your combat on your turn, you may pay 1, sacrifice an artifact. If you do, create a 3/1 red construct token. Now, it doesn't disappear at end of construct either. It has haste. You can leave it on the battlefield and attack if you like as well, which is what I think this card for an uncommon is really sweet. You get a 2/2 body with the Goblin Artificer itself, and then potentially you can make a 3/1. Now, we make blood tokens, we make treasure tokens. You've got other ways of sacking some of these artifacts that will, do stuff when they leave the battlefield as well. Sanguine Statuette, when it enters, creates a blood token, so that's a sackable thing for you. And when you sack a blood token, this can become a 3/3 vampire artifact creature with haste. Now, we have a lot of things that make it haste as well, which is really good, like the Smelter makes a 3/1 with haste, Statuette makes a 3/3 with haste potentially, if you can get that sack effect going. Blood Tithe Harvester will come into the battlefield, make another little token for you, and you can sacrifice this. Target creature gets -X, where X is twice the number of blood tokens you control. But you can only do this as sorcery. Remember that, because when I was testing these decks out as well, just so I could get a feel for the decks, I was trying to do it in sorcery speed. Read the cards. That's what you have to do. But you can make the blood tokens, and then anything that's a little bit problematic that we can't deal with, then that can hopefully give it a -, anything like that with Indestructible. We do have removal in Infernal Grasp in the deck, and we also have Voltaic Surge that works really good with artifacts because it can do that 4 damage by sacrificing an artifact as well. So we've got, a fair bit of damage there. Infernal Grasp will help deal with the Sheoldred because that's 5 toughness. So if not, you're going to, Voltage Surge doesn't hit that, and Sheoldred is probably still going to be around in mono black decks and black X decks. If not, you're going to have to get some Harvesters and, do some, hopefully get some blood tokens on there to get enough for those toughness type creatures. So what else in the deck we got? We got more artifacts, of course. We've got Experimental Synthesizer. Enters or leaves the battlefield, exile the top card of your library to enter and play that card. So we'll get you through your deck. You can also sack this and then create a 2/2 token if you want. But I've actually been sacking it without doing that. I haven't really needed to do that. I've been sacking it to get some effects of some other creatures, like making a 3/1 instead with haste and coming down. Voldaren Epicure comes in, 1 damage, but it creates the all-important blood token. Sacrificial blocker, 1 damage to opponent, so for 1 mana, does a fair bit for the deck as well. We also have in there Braids. Now this is where the rares come in. So Braids Arisen Nightmare, 3/3. Beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice an artifact, creature, enchantment, land, planeswalker. If you do, each opponent sacrifices the permanent type. If they can't, we drain opponent, 2 life lost, and we draw a card. So very cool, and works well with this artifact deck of sacking and everything like that. Fable of the Mirror Breaker, just a 2 of in here, create a 2/2 Shaman. We can make treasure tokens with that, so sackable effects, and adds in a little bit of card draw, discard, and if we've got, we're getting too many lands, we can draw some cards, and this will then come back and create a token of a non-legendary creature. So you can't copy your Braids, but there is plenty of ways, getting the Epicure in and then doing 1 damage, copying Blood Tithe, getting another blood token in, copying this, so we've got 2 sack effects for that, so that works out really well. And then Obnix as a couple of planeswalkers. plenty of creatures that we can sack to make the double copy, and then we got the more drain and gain effect that we want to do. And if you've got that devil on the field, never get to the -7. It's normally winning with this deck before you even get to like near a -7, but the +1 for me is good. We're draining with Olicolt Anvil, and then we're draining with Adversary, and yeah, it's a really cool deck. Now, the land base, you could probably cut yourself a land, but I had to keep it the same. It has 1 sulfurous springs, so I don't know how important that is for the deck. It runs 4 Bloodcase, 4 of the rare Haunted Ridge, and then basics. But if you haven't got it and you want to save yourself a deck, save yourself a rare card. Possibly you could just swap that out. It runs 1 of, but I didn't want to change the deck because that's the stats that the deck was putting out. But yeah, Rakdos Anvil, really good, fun deck, and actually really hard to beat. So now we go on to a Mono Blue Horti Djinn. Mono Blue Horti Djinn, this is a deck that only runs 7 rares, so 4 of them are Horti Djinn itself. So this is all about instants and sorceries. Instant sorcery spells cost 1 less to cast. This has star 4, so how many of those instants and sorceries are in your graveyard? This will be a big flying attacker for you, and this is the main plan of the deck, the beatdown card of Horti Djinn. Also, the other creature is Tolarian Terror, because for common, this is crazy. It's a 5/5, costs 1 less to cast for each instant and sorcery, so synergy you can see, could cost 1 blue for a 5/5 with War 2. So that is a really good beatdown creature, but it just runs the one of them because the deck is basically protect, Horti Djinn, and then fly in for the win. Other rare cards it runs in there, March of Swirling Mist. This is good for exiling any number of blue cards around you. You can then pay it costs 2 less to cast. You can phase creatures out, so if opponents got any flyers and you need to get in for the win, or if they're actually trying to, maybe get rid of one of your card, Horti Djinn, you can actually phase that out from the removal and get it ready for the next turn to attack. So this is the, it's a really good card. I mean, I would probably try to up this by 1 more if it could. I've seen decks that run this is obviously run with the percentages I was telling you about, but it's not going to get any worse, the deck, if you run a couple more of these or 1 more of these. I just think it's a really good card and helps the deck out a lot. The other rare card is the land, Ottawara Soaring City. Like I said, if you want to save yourself one, just put another island in there. These are budget decks, but it does help. It returns target artifact, creature, enchantment, or planeswalker to its owner's hand. So it is like a removal spell, and it's good. It can act as a land and obviously use the channel as well. So it's very good. And then we go on to our spells. So we have Counter Magic, we have Syncopate. This deck is so frustrating to play against, trust me. We have Make Disappear, the full 4 of. We have Negate, we have Essence Catcher, which we can counter. And if we got the Djinn on the field, we can then put a 1/1 counter on it to make it bigger and add up to that toughness as well, which is good. Getting it to 5 is really important. And then we have a Turley Scorn, another counter target spell as well. So loads and loads of counters protection. Then we have cards like Consider to go through our deck and find our Horti Djinn and draw cards. We all have as Impulse, look at the top 4, put them into your hand, and the rest in the bottom of your library in any order. So more ways, because you've got to find your Djinn. You've got to find it. Thirst for Discovery, draw 3, discard 2, and then you discard a basic. Well, we run 21 basics. So easily that is draw 3, discard 1, potentially most turns as well. It's in the deck as well, Fade and Hope for a bit of bounce, and we can even return our creature, which is nice to more protection, like I'm saying. And then we have the Tolarian as a one-off, and there. Now, the 2.1 average CMC is for the low land base of 22, and we've got obviously lots of ways to go through our deck, 5 creatures and 33 non-creature spells. So this deck is a bit of me. It is, I'm a blue mage, I do love this types of deck, but you will definitely get some wins where opponents will just quit on you with this deck, because when you go counter, bounce, counter, people get very frustrated, which is probably what is this deck has a high percentage of 60%, because people just don't like playing against this deck. But if it's fun for you to play and it ranks you up, build this, craft it, and have some fun. So the last deck we're going with a cracking percentage. It just has the 3 rares. The 3 rares in this one are, where are you? There it is Lizard's Blade, double strike, a quick creature has double strike. This is reconfigure 2. Really works well in this red artifact deck. So this is a little bit of a different artifact deck compared to the Anvil. This is more aggro, it's more hasty. The other rare that it has is Squee Dubious Monarch, haste 2/2. When it attacks, create a 1/1 red goblin token that's tapped and attacking, and you may cast Squee from your graveyard by paying 4 and exiling 4 cards from your graveyard. Now, when I've been testing this, my wins, I've not even drawn the Squee, and I've still been winning quite comfortably with this, and obviously the stats are really good. So I can't actually say if Squee is for the one-off. You might be able to save yourself another rare. So if it's in your section, but if you've played this deck or played like this type of deck and Squee does a lot of work, please let me know in the comments what you think of that one-off. But I've been winning games and I've never drawn it. So, you know, you possibly could save your card there, but this is the deck as in gets the percentages. Now, this has a crazy 1.6 average. 1.6 is absolutely insane. As you can see, we only run 20 lands in this deck because it's just so low. 19 creatures, 21 non-creature spells. Now, this has a hell of a lot of one-drops. Yet again, we're seeing the Synthesizer, so it helps you go through your deck. One of my favourite cards for red at the moment, Kumano Faces, does 1 damage. Gets the next creature in with a counter because, you know, the creatures are quite low when you look at like Rabbit Battery is a 1/1 with haste. Reinforce is a 2/2, but that will get returned to your hand. So you might be able to get that 3/3 in, but obviously be prepared that the counter is then obviously going to come off because it's coming back to your hand. Voldaren Epicure comes in, does more damage. And then, you know, you've got other cards like, where are they? Kessig Flame Breather. So when you cast a non-creature spell, 1 damage to each opponent. We've got a lot of non-creatures, as you can see, a lot of artifacts, a lot of, you know, kill spell, you know, Kumano and everything like that. The Synthesizer is going to trigger it. The Voltage Shurs are a braid. Kami's Flare, 3 damage to target creature playing her, deals 2 damage if you control a modified creature. So getting that counter on and keeping it on there, more damage to opponent. This is a very aggro deck, very, very aggro deck. Also, Lightning Strike is in there as a couple of as well. One of the best cards for me in this deck, though, without a doubt, Patchwork Automaton, 1/1/2, has War 2, so getting this down early is very hard to remove, especially if you can then start, you know, putting those counter artifact spells, putting them together, getting the 1/1 counters on there so it can stay out of the way of cut down and cards like that. And, you know, if they're going to have to use a card that's going to do the damage, I'm trying to think of the... it's just gone completely out of my head. The 2-mana black spell that does 2 damage to yourself when you kill. It's just Infernal Grasp. God. Do you know, sometimes cards just like evade me. Infernal Grasp. With this kind of aggro deck and you're doing damage, Infernal Grasp doing 2 damage to them as well. It's going to really hurt them because we've got, you know, the damage going to the domes so many times. Cards like Reckless Impulse will help you go through your deck as well. So for this deck, you know, for being red, has a really good way for siphoning through your deck to get to what you need. Another artifact, High Speed Hoverbike, Flash Flying. I like this. It comes in, tap up to 1 target creature. Now, you can use this in opponent's end steps, but if you have to use it in your turn just to get your damage through, don't forget that this will come in and tap something down. And the crew 1, and it's a 2/2 flyer. You know, we can crew this very easily with you know, nearly every creature that we have, clearly. So it's very, very good. Lizard's Blades is a rare that's in there, and I do like this because the double strike can really help. If you can stick it on like an automaton or you're even onto your flyer, it's just really, really strong, getting that double strike to get the damage through. Said about Squee, I do like the card. 2/2 with haste is good, makes another attacking creature. I've just not had a chance to put it through, so I still think it's obviously worthy in a deck. It's a 1/3 drop, so yeah, let me know if you've played with that. Other cards, Dragonspard Reactor. When Reactor or another artifact into battlefield control, you can be able to put a charge counter, deals damage to the number of charge counters to target player, and that up to 1 target creature as well. So this is a good way, if this isn't dealt with when you're playing all your little artifacts and everything like that and building up those charge counters, this is a good way to get that last bit of damage in where it's already on the field, and like the control decks or anything like that are countering stuff. If you can just get this, you know, on there, build up with a few, it is a good way to finish off the game for me. 20 Mountains, very basic. You could possibly add in the rare land, Sozican. Is it Sozican that makes a creature if you want to do that with the channel on that card? But this is a 60% performing deck with just 3 rares in. And like I said, with all of these decks, what makes it good is that Meat Hook Massacre is now gone, so they're not going to be able to get that life gain, that all-important, very easily when they, you know, would wipe your field of all your little 1/1s and 2/2 creatures. So these decks, for me, can only get better until the meta sorts out, and they find other ways potentially to deal with these decks, but this is, you know, with that gone, it makes all these decks very, very good. So there's 3 budget meta decks with great stats for you and minimal rares. Like 11 rares is still very, very low compared to you go to some decks that, you know, the mid-range control decks that will have 30, 40, anything like that. And these decks are performing well and will just get better with Meat Hook gone. So for me, I would definitely choose one of these. I'm probably going to give all of them a go and try and rank up. If you'd like to see some gameplay of that, or you want to see it on a stream over on Twitch, please just let me know. Leave it in the comments as well. I could probably put some up of that as well. But yeah, big thumbs up to all my Patreons. If that's something you're interested in and you want to support me and keep these budget deck videos rolling, just join up. Anything like that, even if you just like the videos, if you're watching to the end, that is great support. I really do appreciate it. Commenting always helps as well. But you lot take care. I'll see you on the next video.